In the quaint town of Eldridge, whispers of a forgotten cellar echoed among the townspeople, tales of what lay beneath the old Garroway house. The house had stood on Frostbite Lane for over a century, its crumbling façade cloaked in ivy and shadow. Many avoided it, the air around it thick with an unsettling aura. It was said that during the mid-1900s, the Garroway family mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind only hushed rumors and a decaying structure. On a chilly autumn evening, a group of 4 friends, Emily, Jake, Sarah, and Tom, decided to explore the house, driven by a mix of bravado and curiosity. They were young, fearless, and excited about the chance to uncover a local legend. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, they approached the house as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows. The front door creaked ominously as they pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit hallway. Dust motes danced in their flashlight beams, and the air was stale, carrying the scent of mildew and thyme. "This place gives me the creeps," Sarah said, shivering slightly as they stepped inside. Jake, always the thrill-seeker, laughed it off. "Come on, it's just an old house. Let's find that cellar." They made their way through the kitchen where peeling wallpaper and broken dishes littered the floor. The remnants of hurried meals and forgotten laughter seemed to haunt the dark corners of the room. After several minutes of searching, they discovered a trap door in the corner of the living room, partially hidden beneath an old rug. "Here it is," Tom exclaimed, excitement dancing in his eyes. They gathered around, their hearts racing, as Jake grasped the handle and pulled it open. A gust of musty air rushed out, sending goosebumps crawling over their skin. The stairs spiraled down into darkness, the beam of their flashlights barely reaching the first step. "Who goes first?" Emily asked, the tremor in her voice betraying her bravado. After a moment of hesitation, Jake stepped forward. "I'll go. You guys stay close." One by one, they descended into the bowels of the house. The cellar was a vast underground space, damp and cold, with rough stone walls that seemed to close in on them. The air was thick, and the faint echo of dripping water added to the eerie silence. "It's just a cellar," Jake asserted, trying to shake off the growing unease. But something felt off. An oppressive weight hung in the air. As they explored, the flashlight beams illuminated old crates, broken furniture, and strange markings on the walls that appeared to be remnants of a long-forgotten ritual. A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she traced her fingers across the symbol, which looked like a twisted figure, barely discernible in the darkness. "Guys, let's get out of here," she urged, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread. "It just feels wrong." But the others were focused on a large, ancient-looking chest at the far end of the cellar. "Just a quick look," Tom said, ignoring her. As they approached the chest, a low rumble echoed through the cellar, causing the ground to tremble slightly. The friends paused, a sense of foreboding settling over them. "What was that?" Emily asked, her eyes wide with fear. Tom knelt beside the chest, undeterred. "It's just the house settling. Help me move this." With Jake's help, they pried the heavy lid open. Inside lay a collection of old photographs, each depicting the Garroway family. But what struck them were the expressions on the faces, twisted, contorted, as if frozen in agony. Suddenly, the cellar door slammed shut above, plunging them into darkness. Panic surged through the group as they scrambled for the stairs. "What the hell just happened?" Jake shouted, pounding on the door. But it wouldn't budge. The growling rumble returned, louder now, reverberating through the stone walls. "Look!" Sarah pointed to the far wall, where shadows began to coalesce into shapes, figures that appeared to emerge from the darkness. They were indistinct but undeniably there, watching, waiting. "This isn't happening," she whispered, backing away. The figures began to take form, grotesque and twisted, their eyes glowing faintly. The friends froze, a primal fear locking them in place. One of the figures moved closer, and the overwhelming stench of decay filled the air. It reached out a skeletal hand, and Sarah screamed, breaking the spell. They turned and ran blindly. Jake led the charge back to the chest, hoping to find another way out, but the figures lunged at them, claws scraping against the stone. "We have to find a way out," Emily yelled, her voice rising in terror. "Over here," Tom shouted, spotting a small window near the ceiling of the cellar. They scrambled towards it, pushing against the wall, but the figures were relentless. Just as they reached the window, a cold hand clasped around Jake's ankle, yanking him back. "Help! Please!" he cried, but the others were already pulled through the window, frantically grasping for his hands. "Let him go!" Sarah screamed, her heart breaking as Jake disappeared into the shadows, fading from view. In a desperate surge of adrenaline, she grabbed hold of his arm, pulling with everything she had, while Tom and Emily kicked at the creature holding him. The creature released its grip, and with one last heave, they pulled Jake through the window. They landed on the grass outside, gasping for air, heartbeats pounding in their ears. The cellar door remained shut, the dark shapes inside howling, furious at their escape. Without looking back, the four friends ran, adrenaline propelling them down the street. Days turned into weeks, but the memory of that night lingered in their minds like an unshakable nightmare. They met often, sharing what they could remember, piecing together fragments of the horror they had witnessed. But with each retelling, they found themselves haunted by visions and whispers in the dark. Months later, Jake, unable to forget, returned to the Garroway house alone. Driven by a need for closure, he opened the trapdoor once more, trembling with fear and determination. The cellar was empty, echoing with silence, nothing but the remnants of dust and old shadows. But in the corner, a new shape emerged, a figure watching, waiting for him to join it. The townsfolk say they still see Jake wandering the streets of Eldridge, his eyes hollow and his laughter distant, as if he has become a part of the legend, the boy who stepped into the forgotten cellar and never truly returned. The whispers continue. Some doors should never be opened.